Well, considering Yoru just got worked, something tells me Denji's about to experience the exact same fate. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact: I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact: I read the page. I ain't even gonna sugar. I read the page. Gosh darn it! And thusly, I saw Denji's main focus. Really. Dog, this is serious. Alright? Like, do you not remember the fact that you didn't even really beat this one? This one just left. Like, Denji. Like, this is one of your few hard recorded, basically L's. At least, unless I'm remembering correctly. Like, they didn't beat Falling. Falling was stopped by Family Death. Just death. Like Death came and was like, alright, chill out. And then they left. Dog, you didn't win. So the fact that your first intuition is, oh, well, the chapter is literally called Chest Woman Apology. Chapter 206, Chest Woman Apology. But the fact that his first instinct, his intuition is like, it's been a while. Chest Woman. I know a massive part of Denji's character is that he's horrifically down bad. But like, I don't know. I've been horrifically down bad before. You know? But like, in this context, especially with your Goif literally admitting that she kind of got diffed viciously because she drastically overestimated her own strength, and you now need to save her, and your first thing is like, neuron activation. Like, dog, really? Really, Denji? Have some standards, gosh darn it. But let's see. I mean, like, this is the thing, he's probably gonna lose, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if Falling is like, you can just leave. I don't want to boom you. Considering she didn't really do anything to Yoru other than pin her down. And I highly doubt either, like, because now that we know she's under the control of Death, I highly doubt that Death wants Denji or Asa really gone. In fact, it's probably the opposite. She wants them stronger. So maybe at most, Falling's gonna act as like a training for the both of them. But here's one thing I will admit. With Falling, at least so far, who knows, maybe Denji's gonna clutch up and do something absolutely insane. But with Falling still being confirmed to be massively above Yoru, right? Like current multi-arc amp, tank and Splagooter wielding arm Yoru. It does seem like they still stand no chance against Death. And when's that prophecy supposed to kick in? Like a few weeks from now, if not like a month? That was the whole build up right before the Death and Fami reveal. Like, it's almost time. And they're still nowhere near ready. I'm not sure how much more amps or how many more amps they can get before the time of reckoning is upon them, dog. Like, I think they may just genuinely be cooked a little bit if this is how they're performing right now, because this is not good. But let's see. It's been a while. Chest Woman. That's the Falling D. She's a D, you fool. But like, Yoru, you know what he's like. And like, I know what it, like, that's the thing. I'm not like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I don't get me wrong. How I feel about Denji in a nutshell. I'm never mad. I'm always just disappointed. Like he should know better. But will he? Probably not. Probably never. Well, no, not never. Like he's changed. Just not by his instincts, man. Like really, that's what you remember her for? Not the fact that she whooped you? But let's see. Falling D. Wait a minute. Oh, it's ringing a bell. I'm pulling up my canonical loss rate. Wait a minute, I didn't beat you. I didn't beat you like I did Eternity. Wait a second. Let's see. Be careful. She's absurdly strong. So save me first. I'm pinned down. You aren't strong enough? I mean, well, it is a whole building. But I feel like considering like where it changes. But then again, striking strength and AP and destructive capability are a lot different than like lifting strength. It's why like the strongest guy on the planet does hit extremely hard, but like apparently nowhere near as hard as the strongest actual fighters, because there's like technique and then build and stuff that goes into that. So like, despite whoever it is, I'm not sure if it's Eddie Hall or Mark Henry. I'm not sure who the current like strongest man on the planet is, but I don't think he actually hits the hardest. Because even in real life, like obviously it's a big fictional thing where like you see a character like Goku who can destroy solar systems, struggle to lift a couple tons, like stuff like that. But at the same time, in our real life, you can be really, really, really strong physically and have like booty meat AP. I think I'm technically in one. I'm in that. I'm not like really, really strong, but relative to my size and build, I don't throw that hard a punch because I don't know how to throw a punch properly. There are guys half my size who would one-shot me. Doesn't matter that I'm typically stronger than them, like gym strength or anything like that. Even then, I'm still not really that strong. But let's see. So save me first. I'm pinned down. Falling is like, do you think I'm just going to let him? I put you down there, so you could be a good girl and let me amp you. Because I believe the whole reason Falling is here is to spread like fear and terror throughout all of humans. Once again, breeding like fear of war. And obviously, the only thing is though, I'm not sure how this is meant to amp Denji in particular. Obviously, Yoru gets amps whenever people are just like fighting and stuff like that, and the fear of conflict gets higher and higher. But like, unless it's chainsaw specific, I'm not exactly sure how Denji's gonna get any amps from any of this conflict. So, is Denji kind of like, is he peaked out? Like, I don't know, man. I'm genuinely like, in the power scaling sense and narratively, I'm actually kind of worried for Denji because it feels like he doesn't really had the dog in him just yet. At least I don't think so. But let's see. Denji's looking on. Yoru's looking worried. Be my guest. Save her. Oh, so yeah, Falling's like, I'm not really here to bother y'all. Like I'm here on orders from the big boss lady. Like that's it. I really ain't got no smoke with either of you right now. Let's see. Be my guest. Save her. You can do anything you like as long as you stay out of my way. I have no desire to fight you two. My job is to plunge mankind into an abyss of terror. Yeah, so that's the thing. Her mission, in fact, explicitly kind of needs to leave those two alive, right? Though, once again, I don't know. Like, there has to be some sort of, I'm not going to say, like, meta-narrative. Like, there's got to be some sort of amp that we either learned about or just going to come out of nowhere to make these two at all relative to Big D. Because so far, I just don't see the vision. Because clearly Falling is still in an entirely different tier than them, and Falling is a primordial. Just like Aging, who only got beat by super special technicalities, and was still tiers above them. And notably, thank you for the person who corrected me. Aging is a primal fear in this universe. It's not a primal fear in our universe, but in the Chainsaw Man universe, it actually is classified as one of the primal fears. So, Aging and Falling, still clearly, if not multiple tiers, at bare minimum, a tier above Yoru, who is presumably in the same tier as Denji. The only one who you may be able to argue is capable of keeping up with these primordial tiers is Pochita? But even then, we saw Pochita versus Aging, and Pochita couldn't win. It, like Pochita had, like, they had to resort to that weird roundabout way of, like, the consumption trick in order to actually beat Aging. And presumably, Pochita would have to go through, like, a weird roundabout route to beat Falling, too. So, I don't know. I have no idea how our two MCs are going to, like, do anything against Death, unless there's going to be some way they can circumvent it without actually having to fight her. Because right now, they just don't seem built for this. Like, I don't see Denji slicing this building now. Let's see. My job is to plunge mankind into an abyss of terror. But once again, the sheer power of Falling is crazy. And notably, Falling, at least from my understanding, is one of the big reasons for Chainsaw Man upscale. Because I was seeing a couple videos going around of like Chainsaw Man versus JJK and stuff like that. And one of the biggest, like, not complaints or quote-unquote issues, a lot of Chainsaw Man's like feats are like indirect. Like, you have to calc the Gundy's moving, well, Spogooter D, well, whatever. You have to count the Spogooter D's movement through space in order to get, like, speed calcs and what characters can react to. And even, like, a lot of the best AP feats also come from the Spogooter D, who's at 20% power, and we know other D should scale massively above that, and characters should scale. Like, there are levels to the scaling in certain things that you do need to do roundabout stuff for, but I think Falling is one of the more blatant ones for, like, the higher scale, like, upwards of multi-continental or planetary stuff, because it's confirmed in a panel that her simply appearing, not actually using her powers, was enough to, like, destabilize the gravitational waves of the planet. And obviously, you know, the main way you become planetary... Planetary? Why did I say planetary? The main way you become planetary is by surpassing the gravitational binding energy of the planet. So with Falling being able to mess with that at all, I saw that calc to, like, either small planetary or, like, multi-continental. So any ceiling to Falling technically is impressive, though it really is hard to tell if it's like a Majin Buu situation where her durability is a lot lower than her actual output because she doesn't care about her durability because, like, it doesn't really matter. And we know she incarnates in this physical form. It's highly likely that she doesn't actually look like this in the underworld. Let's see. Buildings getting lifted up, cars getting lifted up, trucks getting lifted up. Oh, that sure looks like an abyss of terror to me. Huh? Whoa. Oh no, not the kids. Not the kids. No. Oh, what the heck? Like, gang, she did this before. Like, unless I'm tweaking, she did this before, bruh. Do you seriously not? I mean, I know Denji has his issues with maintaining his character development, but you'd think he'd remember the Falling D, not only just because it was one of the few Ds he just, like, outright didn't really beat. Like, she kind of just got whisked away. But also, she for all, like, thinking about it logistically, obviously I do think the buildings are actually a less impressive feat than what the Spagooter was pulling off, but this would have been, like, Denji's most powerful pound for pound opponent, right? Like, obviously Makima was very, very powerful, but, like, she didn't have massive AoE attacks. Like, the Falling D is a bigger threat than even Reze was, who was the La Bamba D. So, I'm shocked that Denji is seemingly surprised and doesn't actually remember all too well. But then again, maybe he does remember and he's just not clicking yet. Let's see. What the heck? Why you? He's about to get diffed. Please. Please don't get that. I swear, if I turn this page and then he gets that. Though, admit though, it does look like Falling D is actually a little bit shocked that Denji's lunging towards her. But then again, I assume that's mostly because she's like, oh, I told you, I don't actually want to fight you this time. Like, you can just leave. But she's about to get attacked anyway. Denji, don't! Okay. Okay, so she's gonna use the, I believe, like, the depression hacks? I think that because, notably, people started floating when their sadness overtook them. So let's see. Ugh! And he's back in base, too. Interesting. You haven't changed at all since last time. Your chainsaws can't frighten me. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? But I know it's kind of sad. It's like, that's Denji's only option. Like all he's got is hands. Chain hands. So, like, he has no other way to attack her. But because of that, he hasn't really changed. I mean, like, obviously he has changed on, like, a character development level. I've gone over many times, but I do think Denji's character development part 2 is pretty solid, and I do like the whole, who is Denji, what should he choose to do with his life, now that he understands the nature of his life. That's what the whole aging arc was about. But from Falling's perspective, it's kind of like, how do I put this? If you saw an ant, and that ant went to go on to eat and get real big relative to its size, so it's like twice as big, and you saw that same ant again, would you realize it got bigger and better? Would you realize it underwent character development, went through stuff and anything? No, you just think it's the same ant. In fact, you probably wouldn't even remember it. But in this case, the same case here is for Falling, where she, like, understands Denji. She respects his narrative importance and his role in all of these things. She knows Chainsaw Man, but he is still so far beneath her that, like, it doesn't really matter. He's nothing to her, which is crazy to think. Once again, just on the power scaling thing, I don't know how they're gonna beat that. Let's see. Your chainsaws can't frighten me. Oh, is this the brother? The brother that Denji let fall? Let's see. You ought to know the sorrow and pain of losing a love. Oh, so we're going. Okay. So we're gonna tackle how Denji really feels about the idea of loss. Notably, the aging arc kind of showed that Denji was coping with it by just accepting it, like accepting that life sucks, but I'm still alive, so I gotta keep living. But we'll see if this does have a dramatic effect on him still, right? The idea of loss and how another person feels about it, how that reflects upon Denji. Very interesting that Falling is able to directly conjure this student, though, or this guy, considering Denji barely knew him and barely acknowledged him. He didn't know who he was, not like 2 seconds ago. Remember, that's the whole thing that the Fire D was getting on his case for. Like, dude, you were a hero to these people. They idolized you. They looked up to you, and you don't even recognize his face. You don't realize that you could have saved this guy or a cat. You suck. And seeing Falling manifest it, I'm guessing it's because even if subconsciously, Denji does feel some level of guilt over that, right? Because we know Falling, it doesn't, like, I don't think Falling directly really engages with the memories and pain it causes. It just uses them. It's kind of like, how do I put this? You know how your body, like, sweats, and you don't, like, have to think about your body sweating, it just does it on its own, kind of like heart beating and stuff like that? That's how I assume Falling works. You could pay attention, right? Like, you can pay attention to one bead of sweat that pops out of your head and then goes down, and you watch it go down your body. But you probably don't have any sort of direct trigger, so all Falling does is trigger the subconscious negative emotions within a person and brings them to the forefront. So, presumably, Denji, even if he pretended, or not even pretended, probably on a conscious level, felt no guilt over not saving this guy. He was like, whatever, I don't recognize him, I didn't care, I didn't really notice he was here. His subconscious mind, as we know Denji, he's a character who's heavily consumed by guilt and has always locked away negative feelings of guilt. We saw that with the case of his father, back in part 1. The idea of Denji not really being able to face his past unless literally forced to. Unless he's forced to reflect, he won't. now so quickly his subconscious self is being brought to the forefront by this character who we just had to deal with. Let's see. You ought to know the sorrow and pain of losing a loved one. And he does, from Aki to Power to Nayuta. Let's see. Huh? But you did it anyway. Uh-oh. Whoa! What? What is this? What is this? What happened? Oh, is this meant to be the... Oh. This isn't the brother who was lost. This is Fake Sunman. The basis of Fake Sunman. And it's the fire of the Fire D literally consuming them. You took someone away from us. Oh, interesting. So, once again, though, talking about how Denji's subconscious represses and contains a lot of his trauma, and how Pochita was even helping with that a little bit in part 1. Now that he's being exposed to that trauma and that negativity again, he immediately reverts. All the hypothetical, like, and I think that it's interesting, right? Fujimoto is going out of his way to make a difference between the active mind, who Denji is when he's a conscious thinking person, and the subconscious mind, who Denji is when you strip away, not really bravado, but what he thinks has changed. So, at his core, Denji's still a scared kid who feels guilty for what he's done. And of course that guilt was once directed towards his own father, but now it's being directed towards this individual person. And it's enough to knock him back. So, I assume he got diffed. Let's see. And I remember very specifically, he actually wasn't affected by falling. All the way back when. He didn't, like, falling's abilities didn't seem to work on him. Or at least if they worked on him, they didn't work on him all too well from what I remember. It was Asa who was going through it, and then Denji had to save her. But now, it looks like the roles have been reversed. I'm sorry! Oh, yeah, so he even went back to base in the real world. So this clearly was, like, an internal thing. But he truly was reverted fully back to base, and now he feels guilty. And now that he's felt guilt, falling is able to suspend him. Denji! Be a good boy in the sky. You are Lady Death D's precious pawn. Yep, that's the thing. Falling just doesn't have jurisdiction to slaughter them. Because they prove as the only two possibilities of what could possibly reach death. To the point where they could stop her and save humanity. Denji through possibly consuming her, and Asa through, or Yoru in this case, through sheer level of conflict, amping her to the point where conflict is felt and feared more than death. Which is, it's going to be difficult. I still think it's going to be very difficult. Let's see. Uh-oh. 2 Yoru panels? Oh, Asa! Good to see you. Oh, she about to bang? Wait, what? Wait! Don't shoot, Asa! For her boy? For her boy, she boomed herself 1,000 times over, I'm guessing. Let's see. Our hand is buried in rubble. Wait, no. Our hand is buried in rubble. If you shoot, we'll be blown away too. Are you actually scared of, like, you can't tank your own attacks? Is your durability lower than your AP? I mean, that's not, like, an uncommon thing in Chainsaw Man, but interesting. Let's see. Uh-oh. Yeah, so she's gonna do it. She closes her eyes, tenses for the pain. You stupid! Bang! Boom the entire, or at least a chunk of the building they're in. And once again, Falling's so, like, oh, well, suppose you're still doing things. Like, they are so genuinely indifferent. But I don't blame them, right? Like, I go back to the Ant analogy. These are just things doing things. And it's so funny, because relatively speaking, at least it's implied by the nature of their consumption. Falling is nothing but an ant to death. That's why she was able to be consumed and then made into a doll puppet. So, in the power scaling metric, sorry, I keep going back to power scaling because that's where my brain leaps to a lot of the times. In the power scaling metric, you have Death, who is a tier above Falling, who is a tier above Yoru, and presumably Denji at the same time. And you mean to tell me they're supposed to somehow reach death? Like, how? How, like, especially considering it feels like Chainsaw Man is going to end soon. I have no idea how they're going to reach it organically. Which is why I think aging may have just been foreshadowing to a roundabout way of defeating death. Because I genuinely don't think they're going to reach the power level. Not at this rate. Let's see. Boomf. I generally coughed there. Let's see. Oh, see, look, she's fine. She took a bit of damage, but she didn't take too much damage. I'm sorry. Darn, he's going far. Denji! Oh, okay, Asa! Doing the dash, making go fast up rubble. I see you, Asa! Blah! Oh, she barely managed to snag. Yet once again, inverting their roles from the first time. Man, 14 very, very short chapter. Only a 14-page chapter. But reverting and inverting their roles, where it was Asa who had to be saved from the effects of falling in her own internal guilt. Now it's Denji needing to be saved by Asa from the effects of falling in their own internal guilt, showing how even if they haven't changed fundamentally, well, no, they have changed fundamentally to the point where one can act as a savior for the other. Very nice, very nice. Let's hop right into chapter 207 then. Wait, yeah, but hold on, I'm gonna manipulate a little more. There we go. Chainsaw Man, chapter 207. Butter. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Oh, maybe a helicopter? Like, but now I'm thinking of a different type of helicopter. Ooh, this actually, I don't glaze Fujimoto's art the most. I don't know. Well, I don't know why. Just like, it's not one of my favorite art styles. But this is actually a very, very good shot. Like, this top-down view from, like, over Denji's back down to, like, this is actually really hard to draw, and shout out to Fujimoto, man. Like, their art has gotten better. Like, I don't glaze Fujimoto as much as I'll glaze, like, a Nomura, or a Suzuki-sensei, or a Suzuki-sensei, and I both mean, like, Suzuki is in Sakura Days fame, and Suzuki is in Senmei Sin's fame. And definitely not as much as they play players like the Ragnarok mangakas or even the Ichi the Witch mangaka. But Fujimoto, when it comes to their perspectives and especially their backgrounds, they do a fantastic job. Like real good quality stuff. And this is one of the peak examples of it. So shout out to Fujimoto's artistic skill. As a person who is that guy with the pencil and doesn't like go out of his way to praise it, it is still very good. Let's see. Don't be afraid, Denji. Think happy thoughts. Aww. Once again, just completely flipping what happened before. I don't deserve to be happy. Where's my capper? I wouldn't say all that. I mean, like, notably, has Denji made many mistakes before? Yes. Has he definitely misjudged the value of life before? Yes. Is he responsible for a whole lot? Yes. But a lot of Denji's life was out of Denji's control, let's say. He really has been a puppet of fate, if you will. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be established that there's like this. I mean, obviously there's the Nostradamus prophecies, which implies that there's some sort of set fate in this universe, considering Death themselves, who at this point definitely just seems like the strongest character in the universe, outside like maybe Darkness, but even then Darkness seeming slightly relative to Makima, and Makima was deathly afraid of death. So even the strongest character in the verse so far does seem to directly fear fate itself. So I'm not sure if there's going to be like established like a fate D. I mean, I know we have the like the future D, but I'm not sure if there's going to be like an overarching established line of like fate, like a red thread of fate that gets followed. But Denji truly, if there is one, he has been his puppet. He's just been dancing alongside the strings that Fujimoto, the writer, has been making him dance along. So I wouldn't say he doesn't deserve to be happy. If anything, he deserves it a whole lot, considering how much the poor boy has gone through. Because if there's one character in Chainsaw Man that's been going through it, and I mean going through it, it's definitely Denji. Let's see. What? She's like, what on earth are you talking about? Let's see. The worst thing that's ever been done to me. I was doing the same thing to other people. Oh. So see, look at that. Now the subconscious mind and the active mind are linking, right? Because I'm assuming what he's talking about here, the worst thing that's ever been done to me, someone else, his life being valued less, and the lives those people he cared about being valued less over in comparison to somebody else's. He did the same thing when it comes to those brothers, right? He valued the cat's life over the human's life. Though admittedly, once again, I'm not sure, and people have talked about it before, I'm not sure Denji was entirely aware there was like an actual guy to be saved because he was so focused on actually defeating the D that he was fighting. But still, regardless, he views it that way. Because Denji, I'm not saying he has no capacity for, like, rational, deep, reflective thought. But especially considering this is Falling's powers at work. And it's a lot of his subconscious stuff coming to the forefront. He feels guilt. He feels guilt. And even if you were to explain to Denji, well, dude, it's not really your fault. You were doing the best you could in the scenario that was allotted to you based on your own pre-existing conditions. It doesn't really matter to him. Guilt, and not saying that guilt has never been rational, but there are very often times where people feel guilt irrationally. And you can even tell those people that they're feeling guilt irrationally. But it doesn't really matter. It'll go in one ear and out the other. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter how irrational it is. The fact that they feel guilty at all is enough to make them leave. Disassociate. Move out. Like Denji's currently doing right now.
Somebody, butter, somebody like me shouldn't, somebody like me, somebody like me shouldn't be allowed to be happy. That's crazy. That's crazy. He thinks that, but I mean, once again, this is one of the most honest sides of Denji we've seen him. He doesn't believe he deserves it, and I disagree, but I understand why he sees it that way. Even like, and I love how even Asa has to pause for a second. Like, she doesn't really have an immediate reaction or something she can immediately tell him to like disagree. She's like, well, actually, because remember, it was back last time Falling showed up, but talk about a bookend where Asa felt kind of the same way. She doesn't deserve to be happy. She doesn't deserve to be alive. She doesn't deserve anything because of her existence and what she's lost and what she's done to lose what she's lost, even though nothing really happened to her. Once again, Asa is another one of those characters being dragged along by the red string of fate. But now it's her turn to help him realize something that he thought he did. He thought he was able to accept the fact that his nature is one of ever cyclical suffering, but he shall always persist. And where before he took that almost in like, not necessarily a nihilistic path, but a path of like delusional acceptance. I forget what it's called. It's what Jevil has in the pacifist, not the pacifist, but it's what Jevil has in Chapter 1 of Deltarune. What's it called? What's that philosophy called? Not absurdism. Because I think like Sans is more associated with absurdism, especially like in the No Mercy route of Undertale. I'm completely blanking on the term, but essentially it's when someone believes nothing matters, so they live their life to the fullest. That's kind of what Denji had internally said he was going to start doing, but even if he was actually doing that to a degree, it's clear that he still has his tendencies. Like the whole conflict before Falling showed up was the idea that Yoru didn't want to save somebody that Denji wanted to save, because Denji still has those heroic tendencies, showing that he really isn't fully carefree. And obviously now again he's feeling guilt, which wouldn't come from someone who's truly carefree. So he tried to almost adopt the. I literally just watched another video that talked about it, or another video that talked about it. I forget what Jevil does. The whole idea of not really caring about anything because nothing matters, or like different responses to your existence not mattering, or your existence not having a purpose. It's not nihilism, or like, I feel like my brain keeps saying absurdism. I don't think that's it. But with it being the case, now Denji is unable to feel that properly now that the guilt has weighed upon his soul. But let's see what Asa's able to do. I'll make you happy, Denji. I've wanted to for a long time now. Oh, and once again, another, I mean, it's a shot, all right, but like another very interesting shot. The composition of this is kind of crazy too. Like we had the top down shot of Denji and Asa. Now we have this bottom up shot. But let's see. I've wanted to for a long time now. But how? I don't know. But we can think about that together. You're dumb, so you have to think. I mean, a little mean, but as a person who definitely like, I don't like. It's funny because obviously, if you couldn't tell, I love to think, I love to overthink. But your boy doesn't really have common sense half the time. Like the synapses don't be firing. Like there's stuff going on up here, but none of it's clicking. So I do understand. And sometimes I've had those moments where people have been like, "Yo, pencil, yo, jets, bruh, think," and I'm like, oh, the T word, I can't start. No, the thinking, it's happening, and then it happens. Let's see. You're dumb, so you have to think. But you know what? I also do like that Asa doesn't know, right? Like, these characters are so far from complete. And it's very purposeful that Fujimoto, I do believe. These characters are so far from complete that Asa knows what she wants. She just doesn't know how to fulfill it. And isn't that true to life in a sense? 9 out of 10 times, even if you do have like a goal or a path or something you do desire, you may not know how to get there. You may not know how to maintain it. Like, I have goals. I understand pathways to get to something, but I'm not sure how solid those pathways are or how consistently I'll be able to stick to them. But I do be doing, because you gotta do it as long as you're alive. And that's where I ended up linking with Denji's, like, at least active philosophy before the guilt started to kick in. Because you always gotta keep living as long as you're alive. That's my, it sounds so stupid, it sounds so dumb, but like, think about it. Hear me out a little bit. As long as you're alive, you want to keep living. And you gotta keep living. Because you're here. Let's see. You're so dumb, so you have to think. Oh, darn. Was he like falling? But at least be a little careful, and you could accidentally crush him. Look out! Boom! Darn. So he kept throwing buildings into buildings. So, but maybe once again falling just barely with them on purpose, and just to remind them, you are still farther to me. You are insects trying to attack an elephant. Let's see. Smash! Yeah, just the sheer scale of destruction is really insane. Once again, I think, at least in terms of on-panel stuff, Falling is the strongest DC-wise that we've seen. Maybe, once again, it may still actually go to, like, the 20% Spagooter D. It may actually still go, because they, like, ravaged a whole bunch of land as they crossed the entire ocean. What? What happened? What happened? My camera just gave up. Hello, buddy? Camera, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong, and I just can't live without you. The camera came back. Yeah, I have no idea why that happened. I'm glad I caught that, though, because that would have just kept yapping. Let's see. So Falling, yeah, just sending an absolute onslaught of buildings. Let's see. Honestly, this looks like it would be a spread page, but it's not. Let's see. Huh? We have to stop her. Why? What do you mean, why? Let's see. Why? We're superheroes, aren't we? Aww. Once again, it's so funny, right? Chainsaw Man Part 2, and especially in comparison to a lot of stories, funnily enough, the only story that feels like it's also heavily about labels that is recently on the mind is Deltarune. These two are such a strange link, I know, but these two... Whoa! My apology. These two stories, and Chainsaw Man especially, I feel, is definitely a lot about what people are. And not just in, like, their literal biological nature, like, who's a D, who's a human, who's a hybrid, who's a fiend, like, all that. But, like, who people are and who they choose to be. What titles you choose to place upon yourself. Essentially, what restrictions you choose to put on your being. And by the restriction, the chosen restriction of Denji and Asa both being superheroes, they need to stop her. Stop the villain from harming people, the innocent. So it's nice seeing Asa play into that. And really, once again, reach out and try to connect with Denji in that way. Let's see. We're superheroes, aren't we? Huh? Oh, interesting though. So it looks like she did manage to because he seems slightly calmer here. He is definitely like still freaked and geeked here, but he does seem calmer. And it looks like Yoru took back over. Interesting. The attacks I've tried on her so far haven't worked at all. I'll use Tank. So you haven't been using? Well, I guess she has just been using Bang and Spagooter. Let's see. Tank? Uh-oh. Let's see. Whoa! What? That's not a tank. What? That looks like Spagooter. What do you mean that's Tank? Why does it look so metal, though? Wait, what? Like what? Alright, very cool design. Fujimoto said, hold on. Let me flex my design chops real quick. And this is, once again, just a very, very good drawing. Fujimoto, yeah, they're crap. I think I just gotta start glazing them a bit more in terms of their artistic quality. Because what? Let's see. Oh, would you look at that? That's too heavy. But hey, he's not rising any higher, and he's starting to be dragged down. So it looks like Asa's words did reach him to some degree. Let's see. Using Tank's D power, I'll load this Spagooter with every weapon I've stockpiled up to this point. That's how that works? I was wondering, because it didn't... So it is a Spagooter, but she's using Tank's ability. So I guess Tank's ability is, like, stockpile and spit up from Pokemon, where you just absorb everything and then launch it all at once. But, like, that's the thing. I'm not sure, unless you, like, maybe atomize Falling. I'm still not sure what just stops it from regenerating if you're just doing physical damage to her. I feel like you have to do some sort of conceptual damage to her. Let's see. And let her rip! Okay, Asa. Or Yoru. So the sound of the chapter was the sound of a Spagooter firing. Interesting. Okay, so going back to the initial spinal sword. So she's literally going to launch everything in the form of these Spagooter shots. So let's see. What does Falling have to do? Once again, Falling does have a reaction, but I don't think she's going to be able to diff Asa or Yoru in this case. Yep, yeah. So this is a nice little cameo of all the different weapons we've seen. Interesting. And notably, these all seem to be from her specific incarnation as Asa. Not any of her previous incarnations of using the weapons. But let's see. It tears off Falling's head. It cuts her torso open. But look at that. Once again, there's no, like, oh, it even takes off a leg. There's no atomization, though. So I assume she's just going to regenerate from this. This doesn't stop her. It slows her down temporarily, I guess. But even then, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be all too effective. Oh, interesting. So I forget what that one is. But straight through the dome. Yep, I remember that. This is the aquarium sword. Straight through the chest. But yeah, look at that. Look at that. It all immediately heals off. That's the thing. You can't beat falling this way. There's no conceivable way that I see them currently beating falling, at least not conventionally. They're gonna have to aging this bad boy. Because outside of that, everything will just heal. Let's see. Oh, okay, but then oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Falling just keeps regenerating. Nothing is working. Because you probably have to atomize them. Because right now everything is just getting undone. Like the blade, this blade passes through, then just literally just passes through not just her head, but then back into the air. Then this comes in, seemingly does eviscerate her head, only for it to come back off panel. Then this blade comes in, it chops her in half, but she presumably regenerates, slashes her head in half, she immediately regenerates. So like that's the thing, falling just seems a little bit too strong still. And I is this meant to, wow, once again another 14-page chapter, but maybe she's supposed to be buried under all that, but I don't really see anything. I don't really think that did anything, but all right. Calm little W pair chapters. Very quick, very short, only 30 pages total now I think about it, but or actually less because only 14-page chapters, so like what, 28 pages total. But still, I like it. I like the character work for Denji. I like that his subconscious and his active conscious are now mingling through the efforts of falling. I like the flipping of Asa and Denji's dynamic when it came to falling, and I do like the idea that Asa is trying to bring Denji into the future, even if Denji is consumed by the guilt of the past. So overall, W chapters. But if you always see in this video, please leave weapon for all, because there really are a bunch of weapons here. Leave weapon for all in the comment section down below. I did thank you so much for watching. If you want to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you're going to have a Patreon down below where you support me for as low as one. Come on. You can see exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now you can make member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions, here this series I have to review, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or a $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, the link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 into a short video, 20 means small video, or any means at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I would like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier, XZ, Zera, Brendan Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Uda, Alex Kenny, Yuki Ally, Enzo, Nevis97, Zachary Wilson, Azo2404, Planet Crone, Rye Rich, G Prosper, Swift Strike, Alexicon, Striker Man, and Autumn Mornings Lazo. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, Dread Zoan, and A+A. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier members: Austin Wimberly, Euchia, and Shrimpo the Shrimp. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Waki Munoz and Waki Munoz. And a vinyl and thank you to our ultimate, that guy with a pencil tier patron, Calvin's wife. Not Calvin Elder, who ultimately does have one of my kidneys, but now I must know, and I must undergo the process of getting this second one removed, so I can send the other over to this wonderful family.